Hello, everyone. Welcome to the STEM Powered Women Podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Miriki, the founder of Sisters in STEM. If you're new to our audience and don't really know who we are, Sisters in STEM is a multimedia platform aimed toward empowering women of color in their daily lives and their passion for science, technology, engineering, and math. I created this podcast to showcase empowered women. STEM-powered women. Today, we have a podiatrist in our guest chair, Dr. Ebonie Vincent. You may be familiar with her work on the hit TV series, My Feet Are Killing Me, which airs on TLC. From the doctor's office to the operating room, she's seen all types of foot and ankle ailments. I watched a bit of her show, and I can surely tell you, it ain't pretty, and I have no clue how she does it. We're going to learn all about her journey to enter the field and her experiences with her patients and about how our foot health connects to our overall health. So let's get to it. Say hey, sis.
Hey, sis.
Hey.
How's it going? Thanks for inviting me on here. It's great.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have you and to see your beautiful face. I know the listeners on the podcast can't see it, but you are looking gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Now I want to hop straight on into it because you have done so many amazing things, but I want our audience to know, how did you get into podiatry? What does it take to become a podiatrist?
Well, podiatry actually sort of found me. I was a biology major in undergrad at Hampton University, go Pirates. And I needed to do a post-bac program to get more science classes to apply to medical school. And in doing so, I did a master's degree in biomedical science. And that took 2 years. But in those 2 years, I really did shadow a lot of physicians. My objective was to know what kind of physician I wanted to go into or wanted to be before going into medical school. And, with shadowing, I kind of found the field of podiatry to be more sports medicine related, which is what I wanted to do. I'm more, working with my hands type of doctor. And I liked the surgical aspect of it. And I liked the fact that podiatry marketed itself as a career in which you can have both surgeon kind of career and also a life, like a good lifestyle. So that was very attractive to me. So I did a lot of shadowing, and I knew that I wanted to become a podiatrist after, my experiences shadowing a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it was like any other trajectory towards the field of medicine. I went to Des Moines University. I stayed there for 4 years. We did classes with the DO classes, and all the DPNs and DOs kind of did the same classes for the first 2 years. And then podiatrists, we specialized early on. So we kind of have a second anatomy class all about the lower extremity. We start doing surgery third and fourth year. So it's a pretty much accelerated way to specialize in the foot and ankle. So so after I graduated from Des Moines, I did 3 years of a residency at Inspira in New Jersey, and I was ready to go. I was ready to get to it, be an attending. so that's kind of the spiel about how I, found podiatry, and it worked out really well for me.
That's really cool. So Des Moines was where you did your, where you were for med school. And then within that time period, you said you specialized early on. So you guys take a different route than everyone else who's going into a specialty. So it's you're learning your general medicine.
You apply specifically for podiatry school, but all podiatry schools are associated with MD or DO schools. So it's kind of like you take the classes together, but you know that you're in the podiatry track already. Okay. Whereas, other medical students, they kind of pick their specialty based off of their rotations fourth year. So we already know going in. So that was a really good thing for me because we got to really, work with our peers who will eventually be our coworkers in terms of, the interprofessional communication behind it all. How does a podiatrist work with an emergency medicine physician or a family physician, or, those kinds of things were ingrained early on in our careers. So.
Okay, that's good. That's a tough decision to make because you have to know right away, I want to work with feet.
Right. There's no going back. You can't just decide, I don't think so anymore,
Mm-hmm.
There's no going back for sure.
And your role works very hand in hand, like you said, with all the different types of physicians. So
Right.
how do you prep for that? Because no one really knows when they need to go to you unless the other
Exactly.
doctor says, "Hey, you need to see
You should.
Ebony."
Exactly. So, I mean, it works in different ways. I know that when I was working in the hospital, that podiatry and orthopedics, we would share call, like in between the emergency departments, or who's, going to receive the call for a trauma if it comes in. Like, we would share those kinds of aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Working in private practice, it's a little different. So you have to get referrals from other family medicine physicians or things of that nature to have their patients see you. So it's a lot about relationships, and it's a lot about, marketing yourself as what kind of podiatrist that you are, whether you're more wound care, whether you're more sports medicine. So,
Mm-hmm.
those are the kinds of different things in private practice as to how patients get referred to you. But
Okay.
for the most part, we're definitely sharing call with ortho and in the ER and all that stuff. So
Awesome. Now, I know that diversity in the medical field is not really there.
not
So,
quite.
how are you a lone soldier out here, or are there a lot of other Black women in
Yeah.
podiatry? What have been your
So
experience?
yeah, it's been quite lonely. I will say that.
Okay.
I did have a few Black women that were not in my class specifically, but were in the class below me, which was very helpful matriculating through Des Moines University.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I actually only knew one Black female attending, who served as my mentor, even though we never really actually saw each other. We just conversed like through email and on the phone. Like, that was also very helpful, but by and large, our numbers are just not there. Women in general in podiatry are very low numbers, and so you add Black female on top of that, you're just looking at a very lonely road.
Yeah.
Um, so it's wonderful that you're doing this initiative. It's very good outreach. Goes to show that so what, you're alone, you can do it. Other people have done it, and you can actually thrive and do really well at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it wasn't the easiest of roads, but at the same time, the unfortunate part about going through everything, it prepares you for the next step, which fortunately for me is a huge step. So you kind of have to be okay with, all of the tough parts going through it,
Mm-hmm.
to gain thicker skin, to be ready
Yeah.
for the next opportunity. So
I'm
yeah.
sure it's just seeing you in the operating room or going to the doctor's office and knowing that you're the person that's going to work with the patient. The people of color would feel at ease knowing, oh, she looks like me.
Yeah.
Has that been your interaction with your patients?
Yeah, it's surprising. I mean, I work in Orange County, which doesn't have a large Black population, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
finding it more so that a lot of Black patients will come and seek me out from everywhere, from LA County, from Riverside County. Like, they'll drive like just to be treated by a Black physician. And it's something that I take very much pride in, because I definitely can relate more to my Black patients, and I can make sure
Mm-hmm.
my treatment plan is tailored more so to their lifestyle, that's more realistic for them to get better.
Yeah.
And I think that oftentimes that's missed in medicine. Like, the cultural aspect of it is just like, you can't treat everybody the same, because not everybody is the same, like culturally, with ethnicity, race, everything like that. So the fact that my patients are coming to me specifically for that reason of knowledge and understanding of culture, it makes me very, very prideful. So, yeah.
And that's really cool because I took a glimpse at your show because when I say I took a glimpse,
Yeah.
I couldn't get through a full episode because I had to shield my
I
eyes at
know.
times. But it was awesome to watch just because I'm intrigued by all of these different things. But I'm curious, how did you get a show? Like this
Yeah.
is awesome. Did TLC seek you out? Did you have to apply and
Yeah.
audition? And how did that go?
No, so it was, it's definitely fate. It was definitely a thing of God, because, going back to, how lonely the road is, I started doing my Instagram page simply out of the sheer fact that I knew that I could reach a group of people that would appreciate my knowledge in the face of, oftentimes going into work, you're tired, you're just like overwhelmed with a whole lot of stuff going through residency. And just like, I know that I'm a benefit to somebody somewhere, And so I started posting just like random educational posts, about your health, about life, about foot health and stuff like that. And my Instagram following started to climb. And so then when I graduated from residency, I went into private practice, and I basically continued that path. And literally not very long into me getting into private practice, my practice manager got contacted by a production company in Los Angeles. And at first we thought it was spam. It was like, we want to do a show about feet, and we think that Dr. Vincent would be great, And I'm like, okay. So after like about the third or fourth email that they sent, she was like, hey, maybe you should just reach out and see if it's real. It could be good marketing for the practice.
Yeah.
And so, I reached out, and I did a Skype interview, like very similar to how this was set up. We emailed, and I'm like, hey, is this real? And they were like, so yeah, we're going to shop for networks to pick up the show. And they did they came by the office a couple days, did follow me for one of my patients in surgery, a couple patients in the office. And that was pretty much it. It was like by January, they were like, the network loves you, and we want to do a show that's centered around your patients. And yeah, there you go. So it wasn't
cool.
like I tried out or anything. I did post, a couple YouTube videos about, my surgical skills and works and stuff, but that was mostly for my practice. But for the most part, I think that they were looking for a skilled licensed podiatrist who can present well what's going on with feet. So I was it. And so was Dr. Brad. So
that's so cool. See, by exposing yourself and your knowledge and the benefit that you want to give to other people, it was able to allow much larger audience
this whole thing to blow up.
Yeah,
exactly. Like the purpose was there. It just, the platform wasn't. It was climbing, but just when, preparation meets opportunity, then, that's what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I had found your Instagram long before the show even came about. And I have like a little section on my page where I okay, people to interview. And I had you marked for so long, but I never reached out. And then I saw you had a show, and I'm like, oh gosh, now she's on TV. She's never going to want to interview with me. She's too big time. Oh my gosh.
No way. No. I mean, that's the whole thing though. The purpose is it's still the focus, like even with all of the other opportunities and stuff, like, the main thing is still the main thing, because that's how I'm very much so of a filler type of person. So I got into the field of medicine because I care, because I want to help. And so that's kind of, if that goes away, then there's nothing to really show, showcase.
Yep.
So, definitely want to keep the main thing. So.
Yeah. And seeing your representation on TV just shows someone else that, oh, hey, I could be in this role. I could be a podiatrist. Oh my gosh, look, she's doing it right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope more people do apply and actually embrace the field of podiatry, because it's just so important, specifically for African-American people, given our history of health issues that we have. It's just, it's very important. So.
Yeah. And I know we're going to touch on a little bit of that in just a little bit. When I was reading about your show, it was funny. One of the reviews said that it's so, the feet are so ugly, but it makes it all better because the doctors are so pretty. So I can handle the show because the doctors are just so beautiful that I just love watching it. And that's what someone had commented. And everything under there saying, that black woman is beautiful. Oh, that doctor is so pretty. I'm like, okay, that's the main.
I appreciate
the main
it.
review.
Wow, thank you.
There was even I don't know if you saw it, but there's an article saying, is Dr. Ebonie Vincent single? Is she married? Does she have kids? Like trying to get all the scoop on you.
All the tea. All the tea. Spoiler alert. None of the above. There's no juice, no tea available. So. Oh man.
I am curious about your experiences with your patients. What's been the worst experience? We'll get to the best experience too, but what's been the
Right.
worst experience you've had?
Well, there's, in healthcare, you have a lot of unfortunate circumstances. To equate one as being the worst, I'm not sure. But I deal with a lot of unhealthy people, a lot of people who have, you know, diabetes, peripheral vascular disease. And so I will say, one of the saddest cases that I had was this woman came to me, a Black woman. She has diabetes, renal failure. She's in a bad way. She comes to me after already having had an amputation of her foot, which unfortunately got infected. So I was the person who answered the emergency room call and had to do a revision of her previous amputation. And in doing so, I was really, giving her a lot of hope because, the infection was cleared. We were trying to heal up this wound. And I was working with her afterwards for about 6 months, I want to say, about 6 months, just kind of helping to try and heal this wound that was debrided and stuff like that. And unfortunately, she passed away.
Oh.
It was one of those things where you're at some point, you're just chasing your tail. You can heal the wound, but then you have dialysis to contend with, you have the blood pressure to contend with, and you have all these other systems that diabetes can affect. And as a podiatrist, you're in the business of limb salvage. And unfortunately, when it gets to the point where we're just kind of taken piece by piece by piece so it doesn't get infected, you die a slower death than necessary, So,
Yeah.
I mean, that was one case that really stands out into my mind because I definitely worked with her. I worked with her husband, talked to her son. And, when someone is going like that, you just don't want to see them continue to suffer. So,
Yeah.
and that's a huge issue in the Black community with, limb salvage. Like, we're most likely to have doctors just, amputate as opposed to try and salvage the limb. And that's why our life expectancy, unfortunately, is a bit lower than average, because every time someone loses a limb, their life expectancy goes down about 5 years. So if we're most
Wow.
likely to get amputations and we're not trying to go to wound care, if we don't have the insurance to keep going to doctors, or if we don't have the resources in our communities for prevention, like, you can see how this is just like a domino effect. That's a long toil, emotional battle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one instance that stands out in my mind that is pretty tough, because it's just, where do we start to correct the problem before it gets to that point?
Now, I want to dive a
Yeah.
little deeper into that. What is it that diabetes is doing to the body that causes that effect on our feet to swell
Right.
in such a way and lose the circulation in that way? Because I've
Right.
had family members who have had diabetes and other health ailments, and you won't realize what they're actually dealing with until you see one day you're just chilling at the house and you see them take it off and you're just taken aback, like, what?
Right.
How are
Right.
you even walking on that?
How are you doing this? Right. And
Yeah.
the saddest part is, like, if you have type 2 diabetes, like, you do not have to have it. Like, and that's what people don't understand. Like, there's two types of diabetes. There's type 1, that's genetic. You can't help that. You just don't have the insulin to produce.
Yeah.
But type 2 diabetes, we have the insulin. We just eat too many bad foods that inflate our sugar levels to the point where the insulin that we have can't handle it.
Okay.
And so therefore we have this issue where there's too much sugar circulating in our blood system that our organs cannot handle. So your kidneys start to fail. Your blood vessels, they get really calcified, and your high blood pressure gets exacerbated. Like, it literally affects, like, every single system. Your nerves start to go dead. Then you can't feel your feet or your fingertips. Like, and that's how diabetes literally, it just starts to slowly affect every single aspect of your body, and then eventually in your life.
Yeah.
And so when I have a type 2 diabetic patient that visits me for the first time, I say, it took you a while to get here, so it's going to take you a while to normalize a different lifestyle. And so I'm like, you need to pick 2 things a month, 2 things that you change. you know, like if you are used to drinking soda, stop doing that, drink more water. If
Yeah.
you're used to getting up in the morning, having a coffee and donut every day, chill out with the donut, do something else, maybe every other day, try and figure out a different type of lifestyle that can help yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a health issue. It's about your nutrition also. Like we have to just start the conversation of how to prevent things, because once you're there, it's really hard to change a habit and change the lifestyle. So
Yeah. Is it even
yeah.
possible to reverse those effects? Like once your feet have gotten to that
Yes.
state, can it come back to a normal looking foot and ankle?
It's hard. Yeah. I mean, hopefully you're not to the point where you have to get an amputation. I mean,
Yeah.
there's really no coming back from that. But in terms of, prevention, yeah, you don't have to have any more toes get chopped off. You can increase the level of circulation to your body if you help, or decrease any type of um, nutritional effects that are causing that. Can
Mm-hmm.
exercise more frequently. Like those are things that you can definitely improve from. But
Mm-hmm.
prevention is the best medicine, honestly.
Okay. What are some of the warning signs we should be looking out for if we're getting to that point?
So, sometimes people say they experience blurry vision, frequent going to the bathrooms. Like that's when you can determine maybe something's a little off with my sugar levels, numbness and tingling and burning pains in the fingertips of the toes.
Mm.
Diabetes, you'll find that it affects mostly your eyes and your feet first. And so
Okay.
if you have any of those symptoms, it would be wise to go get checked out by a physician.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe run a simple blood sugar test, see what happens, and go from there.
Okay. Are there other diseases that can affect, that have an effect on your feet that may show warning signs? Like your feet will show, like, oh, hey, you may have this.
Yeah, so a large percentage of the population is affected with lymphedema, and basically that just means your legs are very, very swollen.
Mm.
Um, if someone has like swollen legs, like in both legs, you
Mm-hmm.
might need to go get your heart checked out, because that means your heart's not circulating properly enough to get the
Mm.
fluid from your limbs. Um, I do deal with a lot of patients with lymphedema who don't have heart conditions, but we always have to rule that out first, and then we can start working on the actual lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system, unfortunately, sometimes as we age, it's not as effective. And so if you can imagine just like, you know, really huge swollen legs that eventually start to open up wounds on the legs. And
Okay.
that's usually because the retention of water is too much, and you need to start doing like daily compression therapy just to move that fluid back to where it's supposed to be, because your
Mm.
system is not working as much. There's several reasons why someone could have lymphedema. Could be the heart condition, could be a genetic predisposition for it, um, previous surgeries, things of that nature. Those could all be a factor as to why someone has it. But like I said before, like prevention is key. If you know that you have swollen legs, you don't wait until there's a wound. You go and see what's going on and what the issue is.
Okay. That
Yeah.
that's interesting because I feel like there's a lot of people who may be going through that, but then they just don't, realize
Just don't
that that
say
is showing.
anything. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you see a lot of those people who are coming in, saying those
I
different
do.
things. Yeah.
I do. But there's so many things out there that can help before it gets worse. So
Okay. You want to share a few of those tidbits?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, just a simple compression sock that you can wear like while you're out and about throughout your day. I've hooked up several
Okay.
people with these machines in their home that can provide compression for an hour a day, just 1 hour of therapy in your house a day. That can
Mm-hmm.
be really helpful and preventative. Um, Referrals to vascular surgeons are also a good idea, so they can maybe shut down some of those faulty vessels and things of that nature that can
Hmm.
contribute to that. Um, there's so many options. You just have to go and see which options are the best for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because some people they don't know when it's time for them to see the podiatrist, and
exactly.
I may be one of those people. I'm not
Uh-oh.
as extreme as what I have seen on your show, but
Okay, that's good.
for a few years now, I'll just at first it would be when I'm doing like physical activity, or if I'm just I'm standing the wrong way, I'll feel an ache in the my toe bone, and I just don't know why it's aching, and I would just deal
You're
with
too
it. And
young for aches in your toe bone. What is
I
going
really
on?
am. I am.
You're too young for this.
I saw a picture on your page the other day, and I thought the shape of my foot was normal, but it made me think like, okay, maybe I have a small bunion. Could that be the
You
cause?
could, yes, that could be the cause. I mean, because when people have bunions, their joint and their big toe is not aligned correctly. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
saying you're jogging and things of that nature, and you're hurting when you're jogging, it's because your function is a little off because the bone is off.
Oh.
And also, when the bone is off, it's compressing a nerve on that area, which could possibly be another cause of your pain.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
yeah. Did your mom or
See?
dad have bunions? Look, I'm diagnosing you. Did your mom or dad have bunions?
I don't think so. I remember my grandfather had a bunion. I don't think my mom has one because she doesn't complain like about her feet or anything.
Yeah.
But
You
even
could have
I'm
skipped a
in my
generation. I
20s,
don't
and I'm
know.
just saying like, okay, my feet are hurting, and people they'll just kind of brush it off, and I wonder,
Yeah,
can I
no.
get my foot up here? It's not pretty, y'all.
Good. Okay.
But this
Oh
is the
my,
part
yeah,
I'm
you do
talking
have a
about.
bunion.
Oh my goodness.
You do. Oh,
And both of my
well,
feet look like this, and it's this little thing, and it'll ache right here. And
yeah.
and even when I'm just sitting down, I'll just feel that little,
Oh
and then
no.
if I walk, sometimes I'll hear like a, and I'm like, why is it clicking?
Uh-oh. Well,
So I'm
geez.
not even,
Well, you should come by. I can assess you. And after this podcast, I'll give you some tips. Maybe we'll do
yes,
that. We won't put your business on
please.
blast on the podcast.
Okay. See, y'all, I've been turning this into a telehealth.
I know.
A telehealth session. But I've been wondering, like, should
Exactly.
I go see a doctor? I probably should, because I'm just afraid of the surgery. Do I have to go to sleep? Can I stay awake? Am I going to
Right.
be able to walk again afterwards? I think,
Well,
because can you have
there's
both
other
feet
things
done?
before surgery that we can try because you're too
Oh.
young for all of it. There's other things that we can try and see, maybe different type of shoes, toe spacers, all that good stuff we can try before undergoing surgery. But
Hmm.
just know that most likely it's a bony problem that's causing it, and the bone won't get fixed by any
Mm.
kind of conservative option. But you know, it's worth
Okay.
going to see. It's worth trying to see what the conservative stuff does for you. You know.
Okay. These are good
Yeah.
tips. Thank you,
Good
doctor.
tips. Yeah.
I appreciate you.
You're
Now,
welcome.
what has been your best experience with your patients? Because we started off with your worst, and then we dug a little deep. But
Got to
now I
my
want to
best.
know, what's been your best one?
So one of my best experiences was kind of a similar situation. It was a man with type 2 diabetes that got called into the
Mm-hmm.
emergency room, and had a really bad infection to his big toe.
Mm.
And this is the type of person that is a hard worker. He works all the time and doesn't take care of his own health. And so
Okay.
this first time in the emergency room was a shock to him. When people are like, "Oh, that toe's got to go," like, "Oh no, it's infected, it's gangrenous, da 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 da." And
Yeah.
so, first time in the hospital, someone's telling you you're going to cut something off. Like you can imagine that shock. So
Mm-hmm.
when I come around, I'm like, okay, I realize that you really want to keep your toe. So let's figure out how I can help you.
Mm-hmm.
Some of this has got to go. I said, but we can try and make it look like there is. Sorry, that's my parents in the background. like there is a normal toe. And so what I did is I took the bare minimum out that I needed to, just the
Okay.
necrotic dead bone. But I did it in a way that actually looked like his big toe was still there, but he still had this wound to heal. And so,
Mm.
I did some amniografting, I did some wound vacuuming, and did a lot of things to kind of help heal this wound up. And his big toe survived. I got rid of the necrotic bone, healed up the wound. And then the best part about that case was the fact that this served as a huge wake up call for him. And
Mm-hmm.
I see him regularly now. He knows that he can call me anytime that there's something wrong. And his diet changed, his exercise habits changed. He actually did a whole lifestyle change. He was like, I can't work the way I was working because I wasn't taking care of myself, you know, and my health goes and I can't walk around. I won't even have a job. I was like, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was like it was a huge, like, kind of moment for him to know, like, wow, this was a moment in time where I could have had no big toe, like, and that could have started a cascade of events for him, especially because emotionally, you know, you're not prepared for all of that.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're able to save a toe, save a limb, save a life.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, you completely saved his life and changed his life. Because without you, he wouldn't have thought to take those measures.
Right. And now he sees me on a regular basis. We check in every couple months. So, you know, he's really doing well. So that's a good story for me.
But that is so awesome. You helped him immensely. And I know that you are making an impact on everyone that sees you or watches your show in such a great way. I appreciate the work that you do.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that you appreciate it.
Yeah. Because we don't think like, oh, I should get a podiatrist inside of, you know, of all the list of doctors that we get. We don't think that we should have a podiatrist unless someone specifically
not until you need one.
Us.
Right. Not until your foot is killing you.
Yep. And that's when you're like, okay, maybe I should have went a long time ago. Do you do regular checkups with people? Well, besides the people who came to you at extreme points, does anyone come? No,
I usually follow up with my diabetic patients pretty often, about every 3 months, 3 months or 6 months. I just want to check in with you. Like, how are you doing? What are your blood sugar levels? What can we change? What can I help you with? Because, you know, when you have a progressive disease like that, and you're not doing everything you can to reverse those effects, which most people don't, unfortunately, you at least want to try and catch stuff before it goes bad quickly, you know? So I do my due diligence with follow-up appointments for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
And I'm sure you are helping them all. Thank you.
I am. With tough love sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today. You guys, make sure you check out her show, My Feet Are Killing Me, on TLC. So I know COVID has definitely had an impact on your work and everything. Has it
so
been
much.
So you haven't been able to see patients at all?
No, I've been seeing patients, but mostly on like an emergency basis.
Okay.
Anybody routine would do telemedicine. Okay. But anybody who came in for like actual pain, fractures, tendon tears, things of that nature, like I would see them. Yeah. Just because I don't want people going to the emergency room because I don't want you getting hospital acquired COVID. That's scary. So just come to the office. You're not sick. I'm not sick. We'll deal with it there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the California patients, Dr. Ebonie is still there to help you if you are in critical
we're full-fledged
need.
now. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're just totally open now. But you have to wear your mask. That's the thing.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. You got to make sure you're protected because you're seeing so many different people each day. You can't have, you know, someone who's infected.
Exactly.
Are you taking temperatures too? I'm guessing.
We are. We're taking temperatures. We're wearing masks. We're doing all kinds of good stuff. So.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, it is going to work out just fine, and it's going to all come back to a routine that can work best for you, I'm sure.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yes. And your Instagram is?
At Dr. Ebonie. It's dr.ebonie, Ebonie.
Okay. You guys check it out. Right. She shares some awesome tidbits on there. I love checking it out. You can learn so much.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And congratulations on this platform. This is excellent. And I am hopeful that a lot of people watch it and get inspired. So.
Yes. They'll be inspired by you. I hope they watch it too.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. Well, you take care, okay?
You take care too. You guys, This has been another episode of the STEM Power Women podcast. You can follow me at Brittany A. Joy and make sure you check us out at The Sisters in STEM on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever. And you will catch us on the next one. See you guys. Bye.